morning everybody, Calm Biker here. It's the second day of spring, can't you tell? Spring is when the Z comes out, the animal is unleashed. To be fair, not the best day for it today. It was very salty yesterday. I was out on the Honda yesterday and I was grumbling about the salt. And today it's very wet. Well, I'm hoping that the wet has got rid of the salt because I'm bringing out the animal. My aim with this bike is to keep it as pristine as possible, and that means I don't ride it in the salt, but this could be salty water, so the bike is going to have to be washed again. But today's MOT day, so what are you going to do, eh? I can't imagine they'd be very happy if I rang up and said I'd like to cancel my MOT. Well, why is that? Well, that's because the roads are wet and I think there might be salt in that water. I don't want to get salty water on my bike. I can't imagine they're going to be too impressed when I try and book the MOT again for next week. Also, this is the last day before the MOT has to be done that I'm not on call, so it means I don't have to put a laptop in a backpack and take it with me. I thought it'd make my life a little bit easier. This is going to be the bike's 9th MOT. I actually bought the bike in June, it's now March, and the first few MOTs were done in June because you have to get your MOT done every year after the first 3 years. And so I got it done as soon as I could. June's always a good time to have it done because it's generally dry and nice. And then the COVID happened and that pushed my MOT back by 6 months because of all the restrictions on movements. They allowed people's MOTs to last a bit longer. Of course, that put my MOT into December, and I think when it got to that December the roads were icy and there was snow, and I thought, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So I waited until the ice and snow had gone, and that was January. The following year it became February. After that it became March. That's where we are now. In fact, technically speaking, the bike has got a couple of weeks left before it needs an MOT. It's actually an April date when it's due, because we had that ice and snow the other year that went right up until the back end of March, and then it was a case of getting a slot to get the MOT booked. It's tempting when it's like this, when they are still salting, to actually let the MOT expire again and see if I can push it back. Maybe for its 10th MOT. That could be in June again, you never know. Though I don't think the time between April and June is a time when I'd want the bike off the road, to be fair. The bike's actually a 2015 model. Although I registered it in 2016, it was the last time you could buy a bike of this kind of spec, because they brought in the rules in the 2016 models that meant that you weren't allowed to have a bike without ABS. And this bike has nothing really electronic. Obviously it's got the things that you need for electronics to make the bike go, and it's got an electronic instrument thingy with some LEDs across the top and LCDs underneath. But apart from that, there are no electronic aids on this bike at all. No traction control, no ABS, nothing. And I absolutely love it that way. It does mean that on a day like this, when it is really greasy and a bit damp, and you've spent 3 months riding a bike with less than a third of the power of this, that it is a pleasant surprise when you get on the bike and remember what it can do. Though today it can't do very much because almost the entire route from my house to Miles Kingsport, which is where I'm taking it for its MOT today, almost the entire route is 30 and 40 mile an hour zone, so I can't do a great deal with it. So it's just a nice simple slow ride, probably for the best. The one electronic gadget it does have that's quite nice is an estimate of how much range you've got, and because I was a bit late getting to my bike this morning, bit of a lie-in, I haven't filled it up with petrol yet, so it is telling me I've got a range of 34 miles left, which must mean that I'm riding it in these 30 miles an hour zones very, very carefully indeed. Normal riding, the bike will do about 30 to the gallon. If you're going really, really carefully and nicely, then you can get that up to 40, maybe 42. But I've definitely got to be on the side of caution today. I don't want to run out of petrol before I get to the place where I'm doing the MOT. Oh, well, I'm not doing the MOT. Oh, would that be nice? Yeah, it's passed. Don't bother checking anything. It was fine last time I looked at it. It'll be alright now. As with last year, they've said I can borrow a bike while I'm having the MOT done. Though last year that didn't happen. I was actually the first in, and I was heading home again after about half an hour anyway, so I didn't need one. Today I don't think I'm going to be the first in. Almost certainly not going to be the first in. I'm just going to look down to see what time it is. I don't know what time it is, but I know it's not as early as last time. Last time I got there for 8 in the morning. It's probably about that now, but he's already said I'm not going to be the first in the queue, so I've asked if I can borrow a bike. Hopefully they'll have something for me to play with. I would love to have a play with the new CB1000, the CB1000R, is it? The new naked Honda 1000cc. Basically, it's like this, but with ABS. 1000cc bike, around 150 horsepower, naked. They've even nicked the styling of the front of the Z1000 a little bit. Whether they've done that on purpose or not, I don't know, but I like it. I like what they've done. The maybe somebody said, "Hey, look, Kawasaki stopped making that." The best looking naked Kawasaki. You can keep your H2s. I don't know why they had to uglify the front end of the H2. Anyway, beauty's in the beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that. But I do like the look of it. Apart from the exhaust, the old Euro regs have got involved there again, I'm sure, but it's got an exhaust that I don't know what it looks like really. It looks like it belongs on a articulated lorry or something. Absolutely huge, ugly, big block of stuff. Certainly something that would have to go. I think it's single-sided as well. Mine's single-sided, but only because I made it that way by putting the Arrow Race Tech on. Originally the bike had a dual-sided exhaust that was designed in an amazing way that meant you couldn't actually really maintain your chain. But yeah, they've made it really, really pretty, the new CB1000. And they've made a version in black and gold with gold wheels, the old John Player special colours, which after orange is the best colour. The thing that's really got me impressed by what they've done with that though is I think they've not overdone it on the technology, and that's meant that they can actually have a bike that's a reasonable price. This bike I've had nearly, well, it'll be about 9 years, won't it? So I say I got it in 2016 I think. So this bike I've had nearly 9 years, and the list price on it was £9,500, and the Honda is around the same amount. 9 years on. Most of these bike companies nowadays put together a 1000cc naked bike and charge you 12, 13, 15,000 pounds for it. I wonder if bike manufacturers, or Honda at least, have finally realised that bikes are too expensive. Just because they're, well, not just because, profit is obviously the main motive, but partially because they're covered in tech that's unnecessary. And that actually, it seems, people will forego a bit of that tech in order to get a bike that's a sensible price, which also then leads to insurance that's a sensible price, and so on and so on. However, in reality, I'm not going to be allowed to play on a CB1000R, am I? I suspect it's more likely that I'll get another 500cc, something based on the same engine as my CB500X. Maybe that little orange naked 500 that they have, that I know Graham has had as a courtesy bike before. The other two options are worse. The other two options are they didn't make a note of it and I don't get one at all, or they do what they did to me once when I went to Kawasaki place for an MOT, and they go, "There you go, sir, have a Versys 1000 to play on," which a lot of people would say, hey, that'd be great fun playing a Versys 1000, but it does have the drawback when you've got little legs like mine that I can barely reach the pegs, never mind the floor. So I had to say, no thank you. And that, I think, is what led me to getting this bike in the first place, because I think that was the first service of the Z1000 SX. And they lent me a Z1000 because I didn't fit on the Versys. And I remember taking that out of the showroom, and I rode down the road in Grimsby where I got the bike and where I was having it serviced, and I got to the first roundabout and tipped it in, and at that point I knew that when I bought the Z1000 SX I'd got the wrong bike because the handling of the Z1000 compared to the Z1000 SX was unbelievable. I love a bike that drops into corners, which the SX didn't, and this thing absolutely does. Gotta keep an eye on my right hand. This road used to be a 40 mile an hour zone, they dropped it to 30, and a chap I worked with at the time came down it at 38 miles an hour and got 3 points and £100 fine. Quite a few years back that, but they do often have a police bike just parked to the right hand side. That's what he's tooted at. Parked to the right hand side with his camera on. And here we are. Wish my little bike luck. There it is. Before I go in, I'm just going to have a little look. I think that was one of them. Yeah, there it is. You can definitely see the resemblance, can't you? That's the Honda. That's the Kawasaki. There is a definite resemblance. I think the Quack looks angrier. But that is a nice looking bike. That is a nice looking bike. And in black and gold. To be fair, the exhaust is not as bad as in the pictures in real life, but it is pretty ugly. And they've also used this dull metal kind of covering that on the CB500X attracts a little bit of corrosion. 1000cc Hornet. There's still a manufacturer out there creating a sensibly priced 4-cylinder screaming 1000. Right, anyway, let's get this sorted. I'm fast forwarding a day now. It's the day after my MOT. I did record a bit more video on my way home after the MOT, but either I got something wrong or my troubles with this camera are continuing, because it didn't use the external microphone, the one that's inside my helmet, to record. So all I got was a lot of wind noise and some mumbling from a distance because it used the GoPro microphone instead, which is a bit weird. So hopefully I've not got a new problem with the camera, as well as the fact that it seems to keep switching itself off, and I keep having to go like that and check it's still got a flashing light. I'm looking in my mirror, but hopefully it's okay. The MOT passed. I knew that before I got there. I'd gone to my parents' house to wish my mum a happy birthday and give her a prezzies. And while I was there, I got a ping of a text message from Miles Kingsport telling me that my bike was ready to be collected. So a quick check on the MOT checker online to see whether it had passed, and it had. No advisories. Hooray! Didn't really see why there should be any problem with it, but you know, you always have that little concern, don't you, that you've missed something. And I'd been a bit quick that morning getting out, and I hadn't gone off my usual MOT checklist, so there was always a possibility that I'd missed something. But all good, all set for another year of motoring, and I've just got to make sure that this year I do more motoring, because I'm embarrassed to say that when I did check the MOT online, you can see the MOT history. The difference in mileage between the last MOT and this one was only 1,150 miles. I used to ride about 20,000 miles a year over two bikes generally, but just didn't seem to have the chance to get out last year with a really bad summer for weather. So I tended to use the Honda when the weather was bad. Put plenty of miles on that one. And being on call and things like that, just really didn't get the chance. So yeah, so I definitely need to do more this year. Got a few places I'm going to go to and have a look at. And one of them I'm going to now on this little ride out. So that's going to be for the next video though. So I shall just say thank you for watching, everyone. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.